Hi Donna, hi the guys at Bodega Volcano, Maria Jose, Victor, hi Ruth, Begonia, hello, Carol. Can you all hear me okay? You wouldn't believe it, but a little windstorm's just picked up here. It's been dead still for the last half an hour and it's just got windy. So if you struggle to hear me, just let me know and we will change location. Okay, so as usual, I'm going to give it a few minutes to let everybody filter in. See, my mum's popped up there. And hope everybody's keeping well. I hear the sun is out in Northern Europe, not just here. We seem to be very lucky with these wine tastings. Every time we've done one, we've had a beautiful evening, so maybe we should do them more often. Great, thanks Ruth. Hola Victor. Hey Anne and Dave, hope you're all well, and Grandma Carol if she's watching too. Wait, I told you it was windy. I'm back. Cloudy here in Glasgow. What a pity. Maybe tomorrow. Let's hope so. So I'll give it a couple more minutes. We'll see if a few more people turn up. We've got 3 beautiful and very different wines to taste today and explain how they're all made. All very different. So we had a update today on the island. We're in lockdown for another full 3 weeks. So that means at the moment today is the halfway mark. So yeah, 3 more weeks. We all, I think, try and stay positive and keep learning and being productive. And hopefully we all come out this in a stronger and more positive way. I hope you're all managing to do the same. Thanks, Mark. That's great to hear. You've done the beer and the wine tour. Dan's just joined the show as well. We still need him to do one of these. Take over from me. Dan does both our craft beer tour and the wine tours as well. Hi, Chabert. Hope you and Astrid are well. We've still got people joining us. So let us know what you're doing and where you're watching it. Send us a picture. Give us a tag. We had a few last week. We've done a craft beer tour. A craft beer talk on the different styles with Sylvester now. We did a tasting last Saturday with Vega de Yuko, which was the basics and the principles of wine tasting too, and we've had people from as far away as New Zealand and Canada tune in, which has been really nice. Thanks Mark. The wine is so unique on the island. One of the things I'm going to talk about today, which Bodega Vulcano, whose wines I've got, they're so keen to push forward the uniqueness and the beauty of Lanzarote and also its wines. A region that we are lucky enough to work in here is absolutely stunning and completely different to anywhere else on earth. It never gets boring for us, even though we're usually in this area every day of the week. So we feel we're truly lucky here. Marlborough Sauvignon Blanc, wow. I love those. Very hard to find on the island though. We're lucky that we've got Lanzarote wines, and we of course get many from the mainland, but very few from further afield. very different going into a supermarket here versus a supermarket in the UK, where you've got choice of wines from all around the world. Hi Philippa, long time no see. Maybe one of these days, Mark. Hopefully, yeah, one of these days. When this is all over, we can look at new ideas in the future. But our production is very low on the island. I talked a little bit about it last week. So the majority of Lanzarote wine is drunk right here in the Canaries. About 90% of it, only 10% finds itself overseas. We have low yield that fluctuates from less than 1 million kilos a year to a record year's 4 million here. Last year was significantly lower. This year's likely to be lower too. We've had two very dry winters. So, but let's see. So the best place to drink it is right here. Okay, well, I think I will make a start. My name is Ollie. I'm from Wine Tours Lanzarote. We started doing these shows just a week ago, and it's obviously very difficult times. We obviously all wish that everybody's safe and well back in the UK and their families too. We've been on lockdown here for 3 weeks, and we're all trying to stay busy, positive, learn more things too. And we were looking at obviously the wines, and we're not working, and what we could do to pass on some knowledge and do something a little different. So we've done 3 this week, and thanks for those that have tuned in and sent us comments and feedback. And here we are a week later with 3 other delicious wines, I'm pleased to say. This week we have the wines from Bodega Volcano, which is a relatively new winery on the island. It started in 2009, and it is based in Tias. It's based just off the main street in Tias, where they produce the wine. They have a stunning boutique there. It's really, really cool. And the winery is just next door. It almost looks like a townhouse from the road. You wouldn't expect to find a winemaking facilities there, but it is there. And they produce about 100,000 litres a year. Okay. The winery is owned by Victor Diaz Figueroa and Maria Jose, his wife. And I have to also say a big thanks to both of them, of course, and also Victor's brother Frank. He's not only just the best postman in the world, but he also managed to get the wines to me for today. So thanks Frank. It is very boutique, okay? As I said just before, the one thing that Victor's really keen to emphasise is the quality of Lanzarote wine and its uniqueness, both in terms of the varieties, which are unique to the island, and also the way the vines grow here, okay? He's got, the marketing is really cool. It's very, very stylish. They have their own bottle design here as well. I'm going to talk about the individual wines later on and how they're made too. So he's really promoting the quality of the island. The Bodega is the only bodega that officially has vegan wines, okay? And you might see the vegan label just here, the yellow one at the bottom there, okay? So, Victor is also the Denominación de Origin chairman at the moment, okay? So he's in a very good position to push forward his view, which we very much love, and is something that we're very keen to promote about Lanzarote as well. So hopefully you have all got a wine there. I know I have 3. That's not because I'm greedy, just because I want to talk about all 3 and how they are made. I suggested a rosé or a barrel fermented white wine, okay, but it doesn't really matter. And please feel free to have a glass and join in, okay. You might remember last week, the first wine I tried was a Malvasia Volcanica. Okay, it was in the blue bottle, and it was a young Malvasia. Okay, it'd been made in stainless steel. It was from last year's harvest, very, very young, very, very fresh, and very, very fruity. Okay, this one is slightly different. Volcano actually do one in exactly the same manner, but they also have this one here. It's called Malvasia Volcanica Roble. It's on the white label. Okay, and Roble means oak. So this one here has been made in a slightly different way. It's been barrel fermented. You may remember I said last week that if something is made, or if the wine is made in stainless steel, it keeps it very fresh and fruity. This one here hasn't just been aged in oak, which is typical after fermentation. It was actually fermented in the barrel, okay, which gives it different characters. So I'm going to pour myself some wine and join in. Okay, I'll leave that here. So you may remember last week, the first thing we do when we look at a wine is look at the colour of it, and with a white piece of paper is often the best way of doing it on the tablecloth. And the thing that really stands out here to me straight away is that it's more of a yellow colour. It's much it's a touch darker than what I was drinking last week, and that is because of the way it is made and the impact of the oak. Okay, so it's taken on some of that colour, a bit of oxidization's happening too. So I'm going to have a sniff and pick up some of those aromas. I'm going to give it a swirl and open the wine up. And I pick up more complexity here, okay? It's not just fresh and fruity. There's certainly some fruitiness here. There's a bit of orange peel in here. I can smell lemon too. But there's also some different notes, okay? There's a touch of spice in there. There's a nuttiness to it as well, which is very typical for a white wine that has been in contact with the oak. But also, this has been resting on the lees in the barrel too, and the lees of the yeast cells, okay, which also give it a bit of a nuttiness and more complexity. So these wines are typically drunk a little bit warmer, as high as 12 degrees, okay, because it really opens them up, and you get more of a sense of the wine. I get more body to this too, and for me, it's much more of a food pairing wine, okay? It's something that will really, cut through a more rich dish, or with cheese, for instance. And yeah, I get some of the fruitiness, but not too much, okay? The complexities have come in from the oak. I get the nuttiness. There's acidity there. There's a richness to it as well, which, as I said before, this style of wine is very much hand in hand with food. Did anybody manage to find a barrel fermented wine back home? Let us know. And any big fans of barrel fermented wines? Would anybody go out specifically looking for these? It is quite an acquired style. It's one of the most complex ways of making wine. As soon as you add oak to wine, the characteristics changed. Okay, the most expensive wines, certainly the top 50 most expensive wines in the world, all involve oak. Okay. And one of the reasons for that is the oak themselves, okay? So an oak barrel costs between €900 and up to about €4,000 for a barrel, okay? They contain 225 litres, which is 300 bottles of wine, and they have a shelf life for winemaking of about 5 years, okay? Because each year they pass on less and less characteristics into the wine. And after 5 years is up, it's time to buy in new barrels. So it is where winemaking gets expensive, okay? Often now within the drinks industry, you'll find different industries within the drink space buying up different barrels. I was watching a craft beer program not so long ago, and they were buying up different barrels to age some of their different beers in too, okay? So, and it depends the style of wine. This one's only been aged for 4 months in oak. They don't want to age it too much because it's going to start pushing on too much of the oak characteristics. It will become too oaky. You want to try and find that balance between the fruit and the oak. It's really where the art meets the science of winemaking, as I like to say. So, and the other thing to point out as well, if you're buying a pretty cheap budget wine and it's been aged in oak for 6 months or a year or something like that, the chances are it's been aged in a big stainless steel vat with oak chips thrown in at the bottom. It's a much cheaper way of doing it. Maybe not the same romance, but a bit easier on the purse strings. But rest assured, these have all been in the oak barrel. Okay. So this is the Malvasia Roble, another denominación de origin wine. You can tell that with the sticker at the bottom there that I pointed out last week for those that were there. If anyone missed last week, by the way, I am putting them up onto YouTube. There's a Wine Tours Lanzarote channel. The craft beer one will be up there. No, it's up there now actually. This one will be going up there when I finish 2, so you can see them. Okay, so that's the first wine. Thanks, Victor. It was delicious. That'll go very well with dinner afterwards. So who's got a rosé? Any rosé fans out there? I know there's definitely one there. Anne and Dave, have you got a rosé? And I know you're big fans of the Lanzarote rosés as well. Okay, so this is Bodega Volcano's rosé. Okay, it's from Listan Negra, and Listan Negra is our native red grape that we tried last week. Okay, it's the only native red on the island. We have 5 native varieties in total. Malvasia Volcanica, for those that remember, the one we tried before, is our largest. 70% of what's produced here, I should say, is Malvasia, which you'll only find in Lanzarote. Okay, so about 10 to 15% a year of the yield is from Listan Negra, and rosé is becoming very popular. It's very in trend and in fashion now, and rightly so. And you know, what a beautiful climate to have some delicious rosés here on Lanzarote, because they are typically thought of as a summer outside afternoon wine, and why not? Many people have a bit of a misconception that rosés are always going to be quite sweet. That isn't always the case, and not here either. That probably comes from maybe Matthias Rosé, for instance. I've given the rosés a bit of an image, but all of the rosés that you're going to find here are dry, and this is no different. When we look at the colour of this rosé, it's really intense. It's sort of a rose colour all the way through to sort of an intense cherry colour as well. You'll often find, I'm sure you've noticed on the shop shelves, that the rosés do change in colour, and I'm going to explain why that is after we've tasted it. Okay. So the colour here is quite intense on the nose. Really aromatic. Okay, I pick up lots of summer fruits, red fruits, strawberry. There's a creaminess to it as well, and like raspberry, cranberry too. And on the palate, let's have a look. The best part. Very, very nice, and perfect for this time of day here in a hot afternoon. Okay, it's really lively. It's very sort of vivid red fruit. You know, again, the raspberries, summer fruits too. There's a little bit of acidity in there as well, which keeps it really bright on the palate. And one thing that I've noticed with both of these wines is that they're very, very persistent. Okay. you get a lot of flavour afterwards, which is fantastic. It's something that shows that the wine has been made very, very well. Okay, I can still taste this lingering away in my mouth. Delicious. And I did mention I was going to explain how rosé is made. And it's not typically, although it can be, a mix of white and red. It is actually from a red grape. So if you have a white grape and a red grape and you put the two together and you squeeze them, both the white grape and the red grape will have the same coloured juice. Okay, so we know the colouring of wine, it comes from the skins. When you make a white wine, such as the first Malvasia Volcanica that we tried, the grape is pressed, okay, and the juice comes out of the grape and only the juice ferments. When a when a red is made, they take the grape and the grape is crushed and then it's put into fermentation, okay, with the skins and the seeds. During fermentation, the colour comes out of the skins and also tannin as well, okay, you know that texture that you get in your mouth and on your tongue. And that is because it comes from the skins and the seeds, and it's why white wine doesn't have any tannin, because it isn't made with the skins and the seeds typically. Rosé is taking a red grape and making it like a white wine almost, okay? And it depends how long the pressing cycle works or the skin is in contact with the juice, okay? And again, it's one of those things where the art meets the science. It really depends where what the winemaker is trying to do. Some wineries, they have these very blush colour rosés, very, very light, and that might be just the first initial run of juice from when the grape is pressed. Other winemakers might leave the skin in the fermentation tank overnight and take it out the next day, so lots and lots of colours picked up without those tannins. So as I said, it really is where the art meets the science and what you're trying to do. But this one has been made, again, in an impeccable way. It really is highly recommendable. So it's going to be another one that I will enjoy one of these days in this lovely weather that we've got here at the moment. Okay, and this brings us on to the third and the final for today. Very different wine. We're going on to sweet dessert wines, okay? This one here is made from Moscatel de Alejandría. Initially from Egypt. It's rumoured that Cleopatra drank it. Okay, so a grape with a bit of history, and it has developed into one of our native varieties on the island. It's typical in sweet or dessert wine making. Okay, or some of the semi-sweets on the island would be a blend of Malvasia and Moscatel. So this one here, it won a gold medal at Concours Mondial in Brussels last year. It's won other medals in preceding years as well, so it's highly regarded. Okay. The first thing about sweet wines, I guess, is to make the point that they are, of course, sweet, and they are sweet because they have a lot of sugar in them. If you look at the two wines that we tried just before, you're looking at about residual sugar after the fermentation. So remember, in fermentation, you've got the yeast eating the sugars. So all the time the sugar count is going down. The sugar you're left over with in a dry wine or a rosé is typically less than 1 gram or 2 grams per litre. With the sweet wines, they can be anything from 90 grams per litre up to 250 or 300 grams per litre. So really a lot of sweetness in there. Okay, this one is 180 grams. And it's a dessert wine, okay? Everybody has different tastes, of course, but typically you're going to be drinking this with your dessert or cheese after dinner, okay? So I'm going to pour myself a glass of this. And this wine here is from 2018. It's also had a bit of aging in oak too, which gives it some more character as well. And you can see from the colour, it's a much darker colour. There was this first white that I tried before, and there's the sweet wine. So you can really see a difference in colour there. It's a much, it's almost a copper or a goldy colour. And I said last week during the tasting that it's typical from sweet wines, that darkness. And also what's interesting with a sweet wine, for those that saw it, you're going to see legs, okay. And I don't know whether we're going to pick this up on Instagram, on the camera there. Let me have a look. But you're going to see, I don't think you can. But you have legs running down, or tears, the side of the glass. And that's because of the sugar count in there, okay. So on the nose, it's very, very rich, okay. You can pick out figs, you can pick out lychee as well. There's like a bit of lemon and honey too, okay. And then on the palate, you can feel the body of the wine. It is really, really smooth. It's delicious. You can taste a little bit of the oak in there. You get the honey, you get the lemon too shining through. So really, really nice dessert wine. Of course, a dessert wine's typical for something after dinner, a special occasion. Not one for me that at this time of day, but I will certainly be drinking this later in the week. I might even make a cake tonight, actually. There you go. There's an idea. So, I mean, they're the three very different styles. I'm going to maybe hang around and take a few questions, and I will I try and answer them. One thing I should say while you're having a think is that the wines here are available to buy online. If you're on the island and living here at the moment, then there's free delivery between 6 and 16 bottles. Okay. If you order online, their website is Bodega Volcano with a U.com. Okay, if you've got any questions, then you can obviously message them or just drop us a direct message, and we'll be happy to help you and answer any questions. And also next week we were thinking of what else we could do. Okay. And we were toying with the idea of running a tasting with a sparkling wine and explaining the difference between a champagne and a prosecco, a cava, for instance, a brut nature, and just trying to give a little bit of clarity on all of those. I guess this time it doesn't really feel like opening up a bottle of fizz, but I think we should do it, and we were given another great excuse today to do it. We had a listener tune in, mentioned it was her birthday next Saturday, and we are going to run it next Saturday at 6 o'clock. Okay, so if you're heading to the supermarkets this week, then and you fancy joining us, you can always join with whatever style of wine or a beer even. But next week on Saturday at 6 o'clock, we'll be doing something with bubbles. I'm sure I will have a bottle of Brut Nature from Lanzarote. Okay, strength of the dessert wine. Good question. This is 15%. Okay, this here. That's a really good point. Thanks for bringing that up, because I did miss a little bit of what I wanted to tell you about this wine and how the sweetness gets into the wine. So thank you very much for that question. There's no added sugar put into wine, okay? It's all done through the timing of the harvest, okay? So a grape on a wine, on a vine even, the longer it's on there, the more ripeness builds up, and with any fruit, the more the sugars build up. So when they're harvesting, of course, it depends from variety to variety, but typical on the island here, the Malvasia is harvested first, okay? And the first wine that they'll make with those first grapes are the dry white wines, or in fact the sparkling, okay, because they need even less sugar. Then it'll be the dry. Then as the weeks progress and the grapes pick up more and more ripeness, they'll move on to semi-sweet wines, and then finally dessert wines, okay? On the island, Moscatel, and it would be the same anywhere, is the last harvest, okay? It can be as late as September time, often end of July for the Malvaceres, to give you an idea of the time difference. And all the while, these grapes are getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter. And actually, by the time they're ready for harvest, they would have started to dehydrate on the vine. Okay, so they won't look like a raisin, but they'll be heading towards the raisioning process. So the waters are evaporating, and you're left behind with a very, very concentrated sweet solution, or juice or must for the winemaking. Okay, so those grapes are harvested and then processed. Okay, because of the high sugars, we've got 15% strength from this sweet wine here. Okay, we have on the rosé, we got 13. I'm pretty sure this one's 13 as well. Yes, it is. So I hope that answers your question. Paul, it's very much a style choice, I guess. Everybody has different tastes. I would be with you as well with the dry whites, particularly this one, the aged one with food, the unaged in oak, just on the afternoon, or with light meals, a fish or a salad or something like that. Let me just scroll up and see whether there are any more questions that I missed. I did miss some questions last week. Oh, a yes to a sparkling wine. Okay, so that's a definite. Yeah, it looks, Paul, I think you mentioned something before. Yeah, absolutely. The dessert wines, they are much thicker. And this is, well balanced for me between the sort of, not freshness, but the light side and the heavy side. Some of the dessert wines are really syrupy, very, very chlory, and just sit on the palate for me for too long. Which, again, a personal choice, but isn't something that I particularly enjoy after a dinner. I like something a little bit more vibrant, which this is. And it's quite typical from the Moscatel. Okay. Any Bodega Volcano wines tonight? No, Joe, not this week. Maybe we do a artisan night another time. Hi Sandra. Yeah, no, we're looking forward to seeing you guys on the island again soon. In fact, we're looking forward to seeing everybody back, and everybody carrying on with life in our usual way. So I think that really wraps it up. Any chance you could possibly put photos of the bottles up somewhere to keep a record of what I need next time in Lanzarote? I think I put a photo on Instagram this afternoon with the 3 bottles. But if it's not clear enough, I will send another one for sure. Okay. So thank you everyone for joining. I hope you enjoyed it. We are always looking for ideas and things to do. We've got another 3 weeks in lockdown here, so we're very happy to tune in and pass on some knowledge and answer some questions. Organic wine sessions soon. Yes, we could do something along those lines and talk about how it's done. Good thinking, Marine. So keep in touch. We'll put our heads together. Dan might step up to the plate at some point. With his new hairstyle. I hope he changes it by the time he starts back on the tours again. You might have to share the photo, Dan. Have you shown your mum yet, actually? Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up. Stay well, everyone. Take care. Enjoy the weather back in Northern Europe. Drink responsibly. And we hope to see you very soon. Cheers.